I call this November 16th meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission to order, and I would ask that you would please stand with us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. After the weekend that happened this past weekend, I think we all stop and think about how blessed we are to live in this country. So,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for that. Mr. Summer, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benberry,
Here.
Mr. Bradford,
Here.
Mr. Morrison,
Here.
Ms. Schramke,
Here.
Mr. Shadle, Mr. Wade,
Here.
Chair Crecilius.
Here. Ms. Schramke, you have the minutes motion, please.
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for November 2nd, 2015 be waived, and that the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Bradford. With any corrections? Anything you see that needs to be changed? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Schramke,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. Mr. Morrison, you have the Scott Morris public hearing.
Yes, ma'am. I move that a resolution entitled, "A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Amendment to a Development Plan for Property Located at 5194 Hinkleville Road, Suite 106, be adopted."
Second.
Second by Benberry.
Just very briefly, this is a sign for a new T-Mobile store right beside Firehouse Subs. Being in the mixed-use zone, all the new signs come to the Planning Commission for approval.
My
This is a
comment
lighted sign.
Yes.
Excuse me.
My comment is I like all of the information that we received with this. It's very nice to see the, fire department stamps and the picture of the sign. It was
What had
very
happened
efficient.
is
Thank you.
they had submitted to fire prevention first, and so fire prevention kicked it up to me to, so I brought everything they had to you all.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Schramke,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. Mr. Wade, you have the Betty Higdon waiver of subdivision.
Yes, ma'am. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Betty Higdon for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 4040 Minich Avenue. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
This is a cleanup of a plat that Planning Commission approved November of last year for a quadplex on Minnick Avenue, and there was a right-of-way of closed Lester Avenue that run through there. One of the conditions on that development was for that right-of-way to be abolished, which is what they're doing tonight.
Actually, I think we only recommended it to the Board of Adjustment. Is that not true? We didn't actually.
Yes, it was.
Are there any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Schramke,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. Mr. Benberry, you have Michael Knuckles waiver of subdivision.
Yes, ma'am. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Michael Knuckles for the proposed subdivision of property located at 2420, 2526, 2530, 2540, and 2546 Barnett Street. I further move that the requested approval be given and compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinances be waived.
Second.
Second by Morrison. Thank you.
This is just simply abolishing interior property lines to create a one larger lot. Clay, if you want to add anything?
That's about it. He just wants to consolidate into one lot. It's his grandparents' old home, and he wants to just have one lot with a larger lot behind it that's separated by an alley.
The public drainage easement, that's been revised?
Yes. We found the drainage easement on an old city plat, and we asked engineering if they would like to maintain that, and they said they would.
Okay.
You say there's a home on this property now,
One home.
and where's that property?
It's the closest to the bottom of your sheet. It's 2420.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any questions or comments?
Was there ever something between 2420 and 2526 to make those numbers jump like that, or did they just, is that for the city easement for the ditch? I mean, do you think maybe there was a dividing line?
Those are the numbers that are on the city plats, and Angie with the engineering department made sure we were good there.
Yeah. I just wondered because across the street you're all staying with the 24s, so,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Okay, that was just had a question. Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Tramke?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Chair Chrysides.
Aye. Mr. Bradford, you have the King's House Ministries conditional use recommendation.
I move that this commission recommend approval to the Board of Adjustment regarding the application of King's House Ministry for a conditional use permit to construct a pavilion at 1115 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. I further move that the following conditions be forwarded to the Board of Adjustment to be placed on the property. Pavilion must meet the side yard setback of 6 feet. The interior property line must be abolished before a building permit is issued.
Second.
Second by Shramky.
This ministry was established in 2008 with a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission back then. Mr. Fitzgerald is here with the ministry. What they would like to do is build a pavilion to have some outdoor meetings, possibly with a playground. One small typo that I've noticed in here, it says 119 Martin Luther King in your staff report. The motion says 115. It's the same property, and I'm going to assume it'll be 119 once that property line is abolished.
Is this to be accurate?
Yes, and we'll expect a more formal site plan.
Well, I have a
whenever
question
comes
about it.
time. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, the last paragraph in your staff analysis, the pavilion rather, is proposed 4 foot off the east property line. Staff advised Mr. Fitzgerald the pavilion must be 6 foot off the property line, and he was agreeable to this location. If you'll look at that 26 by 36 pavilion, you've got a 31 foot, or not inch, but 26 foot, not 36 foot. You've got a 31 foot pavilion from the, what I assume is the property line there. That only leaves 5 foot, not 6.
Right, that's not supposed to be on there. It's supposed
Not
to be
supposed to be there.
4 feet.
Yeah,
Doesn't exist.
Right, and that's,
Okay.
I had a discussion with Mr. Fitzgerald about that. That is supposed to be 4 feet off the property line as shown, but it'll be moved to 6.
Okay.
so have we abolished the property line?
No, it'll come before you all to be abolished. That's one of the recommendations staff is asking for, is whenever it goes to the Board of Adjustment, for them to place that condition on the property to abolish the interior property line.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm missing something. The interior property line wouldn't provide the 6 feet from the other property line.
This is the east property line on this side. This closest to the edge of the pavilion is the east property line. The interior property line is not shown on this site plan. It is recorded in the city plat books. It'll need to be abolished.
This is not.
Because if you look at it, it almost looks like that property line probably runs right down
Right.
here.
Right,
So this
it'll be
is-
scooted over west.
This whole,
Because there's that barbecue shed right there. But if this gets abolished, you just measure 6 feet over from there, and that's the requirement.
And I guess my
Use
question
that
is,
number, it's confusing.
there's neighbors involved. I mean, have we had a public hearing, or are we?
The
is it
public,
necessary, or,
The-
because,
the-
you know, a long time ago, they said everything had to occur inside.
mhm. The public hearing happens at the Board of Adjustment, which is in 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay,
The Planning Commission, they just simply make the recommendation to the Board of Adjustment,
I see.
which is what tonight is.
So what'll happen is when he comes before,
Mhm.
when he comes before the BOA, the 6 feet will have to be shown on there instead of the 4 feet.
I thought this was the cook shack, and that's the shed,
I
right?
guess it would have
As well,
to be right
the
there. As you see,
property line that
wraps
needs to be
around that
abolished,
corner.
so they can
Well-
actually see where it is.
Yeah, but then they'll have to come back before this board to abolish that property.
Exactly.
That's what I think that's the problem. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
I think that is. Go by this one.
I haven't heard any discussion about the condition that's discussed in the staff analysis about all activities take place indoor. Is that something that we need to be concerned with, or is that just the Board of Adjustment, or?
You all can take that into consideration if you want to make that part of your recommendation to the BOA. According to Mr. Fitzgerald, who's here, that was just for a time period of 6 months, I believe. Staff couldn't find any record of that written down in the file, though.
Have there been any complaints relative to noise or
I couldn't
functions
find
taking
any.
place and traffic and?
Is that the reason that there might have been that condition?
It could have been, but this was
Maybe he could.
08 before my time, so I'm not sure. Mr. Fitzgerald, do you want to? Yes, I do. Address that?
It was a 6-month trial, and We've been existing ever since 2008, and we have not had one complaint. Everybody,
Why was there a trial to begin with, is what I was wondering.
because some of the neighbors, they were, they wasn't really sure that it was going to be what we said it was going to be,
Okay.
and
It's a residential area, and the houses are fairly close together. So I think there was some concern that if there was a lot of outdoor activity,
Okay.
it might be disruptive.
Well, we've had outdoor activities, and we have not had any problems.
Very good.
Thank you for edifying me, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can we ask the Board of Adjustment to readdress that condition and possibly remove it if there's no more concern?
Sure can.
And the type of events that you've had in the past, similar to what you're now going to have? I mean,
Yes, ma'am. Well, we have, things outdoors for them, like the fire trucks come and they spray our kids, and stuff like that. The police come and, they just kind of make themselves friendly with our children, and it's just really great. Everybody's working together.
Do you have outdoor dinners, that kind of thing too, like picnics and that?
Well, we've had things for, like, in the community, we had, like a grill out. We gave people hot dogs and hamburgers, for the kids and then the parents as well.
I agree. I think the Board of Adjustment just needs to remove that from.
Yeah, I would hate to leave that condition on the
I agree.
books and have some later members of either this commission or the Board of Adjustment look at it and and interpret it a different way, like it's prohibits you from doing something. So, I would like for it to be addressed again.
And, excuse
Do
me.
we need to amend the motion, or do we need to just have that as a recommendation to the Board of
Yeah, have that
Adjustment?
as a recommendation.
And the neighbors would be notified to come to the
Yeah,
BOA.
in fact,
Oh, yeah.
that already went out because for conditional use, it's a 2-week notification period. Mr. Fitzgerald got his today, so I'm assuming the neighbors was notified today or Saturday.
How far do you notice around the property?
This is the adjacent property owners.
And we've got a 6-foot privacy fence up. Everything is, inside of our fence. And this is something that's very important to us.
I would I've driven past your property many times, and it's always very well maintained.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Do we
Oh,
need to add something to the motion?
I was going to say, do we need to amend, that's what I was asking, do we need
That's
to
what I'm-
amend the motion in order to be forwarded onto the Board of
Just need to see what the
Adjustment?
motion said, okay.
Make the recommendation
Yeah.
to remove.
We term those as conditions.
Yeah. Following conditions be forwarded. These will be the conditions. I'm thinking that at that motion, though, you could bring that up. I'm not sure we need to, just at the hearing before the BOA, that should be in the staff report.
Okay.
That you said here and the recommendation that they, now, we could go ahead and recommend that they remove it.
I think we
Either way.
should, just to have it
Okay.
in writing,
Okay, so it's just like the 6 month that he couldn't find it.
Right.
Somebody, it's your motion, we've got a second, it's on the floor. If somebody will make a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor to add that, in the second, then we'll have that motion with the amendment.
Okay. I'll make the motion to add the recommendation to remove the conditions if everything complies with the conditions currently that was set for 6 months.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Second by Wade.
okay. And it's your motion, so.
I approve of the amendment.
Do we have to vote on the amendment first before we vote on the main motion?
Okay.
So we'll be
Wait,
voting,
Did you second?
I did.
we're voting on the amendment first.
Okay.
Remove the
Just to be
condition.
clear, yes.
All right. This is the vote for the amendment. Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Shramky,
aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Chair Cresilius.
Aye. Now we'll be voting on the main motion with the amendment added.
Ready?
You bet.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Shramky,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Chair Crecilius.
Aye. If there's no other business to come before the commission tonight, we stand adjourned.
Go ahead and put that on there.